All right, folks, Samori Benjamin being joined here by former NBA player, collegiate star, McDonald's All-American, and now Philadelphia 76ers broadcaster, Alaa Abdelnaby. Alaa, thank you for joining me.
Good to be with you, brother.
Definitely. Now, I know that you were raised close by in New Jersey, so how was that for you just coming up in New Jersey?
Oh, well, for me, I love New Jersey. I still live there to this day, so for me, it's one of my favorite places on earth where you can get a little bit of flavor, while at the same time, if you retreat back into some quiet and some space, as opposed to the times when I lived in Manhattan in my earlier youth, and not a lot of space and not a lot of quiet there. Right. I enjoy New Jersey because when you want some noise, there are places and things you can go do, but at the same time, there's some quiet and some space around as well.
I hear you, man. I remember being a kid growing up in the city in Harlem, and I used to always feel like, you know what, I would love to move to Jersey, have all the grass and trees, because I was an athlete and I play sports, so definitely. I hear what you're saying. So, as far as your sports influences growing up, who were some of your sports influences?
Man, well, it's funny, we're here in Madison Square Garden. Muhammad Ali was a huge sports influence. Being a Muslim myself, seeing another brother like that being able to do what he was able to do and influence the amount of people he did, he was certainly a big influence on me to show me what's possible out there from a sportsman's point of view. But at the same time, basketball-wise, it was Dr. J.
No doubt.
When he was out on Long Island doing his thing in the early 70s and then moving down to Philly after 76, he was the guy, he still is my guy. So it's kind of neat to be the Philadelphia 76ers color analyst because I'll get to see Doc from time to time.
Yes, that's awesome. And so, right, at that time, now, growing up in Jersey, were you a Knicks fan? Well, you said first you were a Dr. J, so you were a Knicks fan. Knicks fan. Knicks
yes.
fan. Okay.
Well, I got here in 1972 from Egypt, and that's the year they won it the first time. And then 73, when I was 5, they won it again. So I grew up with Clyde Frazier and a lot of Knicks fans' names being thrown around the house for sure.
Yeah, they won in 70, and 72 they lost to the Lakers. And then 73 they beat the Lakers.
Right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Now, Muhammad Ali, you mentioned him. We just had the anniversary of his first fight with Frazier here.
Right.
That was March 8th, right?
Right, so 1971.
Yep, so we just had that anniversary.
Right over there.
Yeah. So, growing up as a Knicks fan, what are some of your fondest memories?
Well, I think part of my memories, what I remember vividly, are the Bernard King days. Ernie Grunfeld was on that team. Louis Orr was on that team. Michael Ray Richardson. There was a lot. Ray Williams. There was a lot of guys that I admired and looked up to. They used to practice nearby me in New Jersey at what was then called Uppsala College. It no longer exists, but it was in East Orange, a couple miles away, so I would get to go watch those guys play. I remember Bernard going through his knee injuries and then fighting back and being the old Bernard again. So for me, those imprints are indelible in my mind, and they will last with me for a long lifetime.
Yeah, you know what? It's interesting. The last 3 people I've interviewed here, including you, have all mentioned Bernard King. I was talking 2 days ago to Jeff Turner, and Jeff Turner was a rookie on Christmas Day with the Nets when Bernard scored 60 points.
How about that?
Yeah. So, and I tell people, like, Bernard King, people sleep on him. I mean, he
was a bad dude.
He carried some Knicks teams.
He was a bad dude.
Yes. Okay, so now, were you into any other sports?
I did. Well, I'm a foreigner. As I mentioned before, I was born in Egypt. So soccer was my first sport. So having season tickets to the Cosmos and watching Pelé right across the river at Giant Stadium was really cool too. He was another huge influence. But I think what soccer helped me with too was just being balanced, being coordinated. Patrick Ewing, a Jamaican, played soccer as well. Akeem Olajuwon, African, played soccer as well. So I think it helps big guys in your balance and your coordination.
No doubt, and I'm sure Jokic plays soccer.
That's right.
So, I mean, right now, you see how dynamic he is and skilled. So, all right, now, you went to Duke to play college basketball. Well, before that, you were a McDonald's All-American. So, Derek Coleman was on that 86 McDonald's All-American team. And just what was it like just being named McDonald's All-American? I know Terry Mills, another former NBA player. So, how was that for you?
It was an honor because if you want to get to the league like I did, like other guys do, it's kind of one of the steps you have to kind of get to get some recognition, to be able to get recruited heavily. So yeah, being McDonald's All-American was kind of like checking off one of the boxes on my list. But yeah, to this day, I still brag about it.
I gotta ask you, before, about a year or so before that McDonald All-American game, Knicks draft Patrick Ewing.
Right.
What do you remember about that, just being a Knicks fan?
Oh, it's huge for us because, again, we were so happy that he was going to be coming to us, having watched him for 4 years at Georgetown and being able to kind of project what he'll be able to do in a Knicks uniform. It was exciting. I remember season tickets going through the roof, the city being a buzz. Yeah, Patrick did all that for sure.
Nice. Okay, so Duke and there were two McDonald All-Americans who went to Carolina, J.R. Reed.
That's right.
And Scott Williams.
That's right.
And so your first year at Duke, I know the first 2 years you were there, you guys lost to the national champion. First year you lost to Syracuse, right? In the Sweet 16.
Indiana.
Right, sorry.
Yes, Indiana. It's okay.
Indiana.
And they wound up winning it.
Yes, yes. Indiana reached you, right.
Yeah.
So what do you remember about just your first year and playing Indiana?
I remember how much different basketball was at that level. When you got to the NCAA tournament, the lights were bright. It was pretty intense. And we're going up against a really good Indiana team. Yeah, that's something I won't forget.
And then the next year, 88, Kansas and
Kansas and Kansas City, yep. Yeah. There's a theme here. We keep losing to the best team. But again, just being in the Final Four was an honor. But yeah, you were hoping that you'd be able to get to win one of those.
Well, now, before you went there, Duke had never won a championship. So what was the recruiting process like? And, you know, a young Coach K, and how did you end up going to Duke?
I went to Duke because it was the best of both worlds. I wanted to play basketball. My parents insisted on me going to school. So Duke was the best of both worlds, where I felt like I could achieve my goals while still keeping my parents happy.
And just coming into Duke as a young guy, was there a ball player who was already on the team who might have taken you under their wing?
Johnny Dawkins. Johnny Dawkins, who turned into a pretty good pro. Now the head coach of the University of Central Florida. Johnny was the stud at Duke at the time, and he kind of took me under his wing and showed me a few things, and he still teaches me things every time I'm around him. So it would be Johnny Dawkins.
I just got to ask you, you know, your last year there, I know you all lost to UNLV big, but what do you remember just about just how talented some of those guys were, Larry Johnson?
I remember being very impressed with how good LJ was. And when he got to the league, it was in Charlotte, then eventually came here. I was very happy that he was going to be wearing a Knicks uniform because I was aware of how good he was. He was really good in college too.
Now you get drafted by Portland right after they lost in the finals to the Pistons in 1990, and you played 2 years there. But I mean, what was it like for you just to be drafted in the first round in 1990?
It was an honor, and it was an honor to go to a team like Portland that was really good. We lost in the finals in '92 to the Bulls, so for me, I got to live out a lot of experiences and childhood dreams. It was great. I was very privileged to have gone there as my first team, yeah.
Right, so what do you think, yes, and some of your best memories as a pro with Portland, some of the other teams?
I think just any memory of being out on the floor going up against the best, and certainly you remember the nights when you had good nights more than the bad nights, but when you're able to go out there and feel like you belong, those are the memories that you remember, because you're playing against the best in the world on a nightly basis. So when you can hang and hold your own, it's pretty cool.
Cool. Okay, a couple of questions for you about the Philadelphia team. Now the Sixers, like the Knicks, have not been to the conference finals in a while. Knicks have not been since 2000, Philadelphia 2001. And last year I was actually in the building. I was there for Game 3, the night Embiid got the MVP trophy against Boston, and then Game 6, lost both games and ended up losing the series. But so what do you think that this team, of course, Embiid hurt right now, so very tough, but what do you see where the Sixers team is at right now?
Well, I think we need him back, obviously, right? We're not going to be what we want to be as far as living up to your potential without the big fellas. So the big fella's got to come back. Hopefully he comes back with enough games that we can get a little bit of a rhythm going with his teammates, and then anything can happen after that.
So what's the mood like Philadelphia? They went through it for a while before Embiid, the process, and they had some players who a lot of high draft picks, and they hit on a couple of them, but then one of them, Ben Simmons, ended up going south. But Embiid has still, been franchise type guy, won an MVP last year, really carrying the Sixers and all that. Just what's the mood of Philly fans about Embiid and about the Sixers?
Cautious. I think we got to get the big fella back. Nothing. You can't dream unless the big fella's back in the lineup. So I think once he comes back, maybe we can start to see a brighter future, but not until then.
Last two. Yes, the Knicks. What are your thoughts on the Knicks? I mean, I know very similar. They're
going through some things too right now, right? They need their guys back, and I think that's got to be key for them too. You can't really assess what this team is capable of until they get healthy.
Last one. What is your favorite Garden moment? It could be.
Wow. My favorite Garden moment would probably have to be, I was here, but it's in a negative way because it goes against the Knicks. I was here when Reggie in '95 hit those eight points at the end of the game. I was here because Larry Brown, who I know gave me tickets, so I brought my dad and we stayed, and that's the most memorable. It's not my favorite moment.
Right. I hear you. Most memorable. Okay, so what's your most favorite?
Probably LJ's 4-point play.
Nice.
Or John Stark's left-handed dunk over MJ.
Nice.
That was probably. I was playing still.
Yeah.
I was playing
right,
still.
I know. Yeah. No doubt. Alaa Abdelnaby, thank you so much. All right,
Appreciate you guys.
We're back.